Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please, can I help you, your judges, please, let's be outstanding. Authority in heaven, we thank you for this morning. Thank you for the privilege to be alive this morning. Thank you on behalf of Tranex. Thank you for the board, the members, and the entire shareholders. Father, may your name alone be exalted in the name of Jesus. Father, we are deliberating on the annual general meeting today. Father, lead us, O Lord, and let your name alone be glorified in the name of Jesus. Father, we sanctify this environment with the blood of Jesus. There shall be no incident, there shall be no accident, and the meeting will go scot-free in the name of Jesus. At the end of the day, O Lord, let only your name alone be glorified. And all the blessing will be ours, O Lord. In Jesus' most precious name, we have prayed. Thank you.
It is important to inform everyone that on 31st of May 2021, the Corporate Affairs Commission approved the company's request to convene the company's annual general meeting by proxy to consider both ordinary and special businesses as reflected in the agenda of this meeting. Also, due to the public holidays for the Muslim festival, Eid al-Kabir, the initial date for this meeting of 21st of July 2021 was changed, and on 16th of June 2021, the Corporate Affairs Commission approved the company's request to proceed with the new date of 28th July 2021 for this meeting. Approval was also duly obtained for the meeting from the Nigeria Exchange Group, and this meeting is being convened subject to the directives of the federal and Lagos state governments on the maximum number of persons allowed to attend public gatherings. Based on the Corporate Affairs and the Nigerian Exchange Group's approval received to convene this annual general meeting by way of proxies, the company registrars received executed proxy forms sent in by shareholders. May I now call on Mr. Raymond Akukota, a representative of Cardinal Stone Registrar, to present the proxy report to members, as well as disclose the number of members attending in person or by proxy for the purpose of determining that this meeting is quorate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, regulators here present, and distinguished shareholders of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc. I welcome you once more to the 28th Annual General Meeting of this company. As registrars, we're here to present the proxy report for this meeting. We received a total of 74 duly executed proxies amounting to 266,777,558 units of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc shares, and this constitutes approximately 56.9% of the issued share capital of the company. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Based on the report of the registrars and the presence of the quorum, I have great pleasure in declaring the meeting open. You are all welcome to our company's 28th Annual General Meeting. Before we proceed, I would like to crave your indulgence to introduce myself and my other colleagues on the board, as well as representatives at this meeting. My name is Sulaiman Adedokun. I'm a non-executive chairman of this company. This is my first time as the chairman of the company. Thank you very much. I would also like to introduce my colleagues on the board. I have with me Mr. Theodore Chikelu, that's the MD of the company. I also have Mr. Adeleke Adibayo, Director of the company. I have Ms. Daniela Suleiman, Director of the company. I also have Chief Kayode Ajakaye, who is on his way. He will soon join us. He has sent in his apology. He will soon be here. I would also like to introduce the company secretary, our able company secretary, Mrs. Adesua Akitemi. I would like to also introduce the representative of the auditors, Mr. Simon Awotoye. Oh, thank you. Here comes Chief Ajakai. Apologies accepted. Also, a representative from the Nigerian Exchange Group, Ms. Fatima Adeniyi, who is attending virtually. Also, I would like to introduce the representative from the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Victor Thomas. I would like to also introduce the registrar's representative, Mr. Raymond Akokota. Also, I would like to introduce the audit committee members, shareholders, representatives. First, Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya and Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye, and those that are attending this meeting with us physically or have joined us virtually. Also, I would like to mention that two of the proxies appointed by shareholders to represent them at this meeting, Chief Matthew Akinlade and Mr. Moses Egbode, thank you, have sent their apologies for their inability to attend this meeting and appointed representatives for the meeting. Before I call on the secretary to read the notice convening this meeting, I wish to inform members that in accordance with Section 301 of Section 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the Registrar of Directors' Shareholdings, the Register of Directors' Shareholdings is available for inspection throughout the meeting. Also, the Register of Directors' Attendance at board meetings is available for inspection. Please, whenever you wish to move or second a motion, ask a question, or raise a point on any matter under discussion, kindly indicate by raising your hand for identification, and once permitted to speak, please state your name for the purpose of identification. I now call on the secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Notice of Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 28th Annual General Meeting of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc will be held at Radisson Blu Hotel, number 38-40 Isaac John Street, Ikeja, GRA, on Wednesday, 28 July 2021 at 11 a.m. for the following purposes. Ordinary business. 1. To lay before the meeting the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020, together with the reports of the directors, the independent auditors, and the audit committee thereon. 2. To re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation. 1. Mr. Sulaiman Adedokun. 2. Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. 3. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 4. To disclose the remuneration of managers of the company, inclusive of taxes and other statutory obligations. 5. To elect members of the statutory audit committee. Special business. 6. To fix the remuneration of the directors. Note: compliance with COVID-19 related directives and guidelines. The federal government of Nigeria, state government, health authorities, and regulatory agencies have each issued a number of directives and guidelines aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Particularly, the Lagos State government prohibits the gathering of more than 50 people, whilst the Corporate Affairs Commission issued guidelines on holding the annual general meeting by proxy. The convening and conduct of this annual general meeting shall be done in accordance with these directives and guidelines. Proxy. A member of the company entitled to attend and vote at this meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead. A proxy need not be a member of the company. Proxy forms were supplied with the notice. For a completed proxy form to be valid for the purpose of this meeting, it must be duly stamped by the Commissioner of Stamp Duties and deposited at the office of the company registrars, Cardinal Stone Registrars Limited, 337 Herbert Macaulay Way, Yaba, Lagos, or via email to registrars@cardinalstone.com, not later than 48 hours before the time of holding the meeting. Attendance by proxy. In line with the CAC guidelines, attendance at the AGM shall be by proxy only, subject to the quorum provision in the company's articles of association, and the names of the proxies have been provided in the proxy forms. Shareholders are required to appoint a proxy of their choice from their list of nominated proxies below. 1. Mr. Sulaiman Adedokun, Chairman. 2. Mr. Sahid Bashir. 3. Mr. Tunji Esan. 4. Chief Matthew Akinlade. 5. Mr. Moses Igburode. 6. Mr. Eric Akinduro. 7. Mr. Ariyo Olubosun. Stamping of proxies. The company has made arrangement at its cost for the stamping of duly completed and signed proxy forms submitted to the company's registrars within the stipulated timeline. E-dividend. Notice is hereby given to all shareholders to open bank accounts, stockbroking accounts, and CSCS accounts for the purpose of dividend. A detachable application form for e-dividend is attached to the annual report to enable all shareholders to furnish particulars of their accounts to the registrars. Unclaimed dividend warrants and share certificates. Shareholders are hereby informed that a number of share certificates and dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed. A list of all unclaimed dividend will be circulated with the annual report and financial statements. Any member affected by this notice is advised to write or to call at the office of the company's registrars, Cardinal Stones Limited, 335 to 337 Herbert Macaulay Way, Yaba, Lagos, during normal working hours. Closure of register of members and transfer books. Notice is hereby given that the register of members and transfer books of the company will be closed from Monday 19th April 2021 to Friday 23rd July 2021, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Nominations for the Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, requires the Statutory Audit Committee of Public Companies to have 5 members, comprising of 3 shareholders and 2 non-executive directors. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, any shareholder may nominate another shareholder for election as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee by giving notice in writing of such nomination, attaching the CV of the nominee to the company's secretaries at least 21 days before the date of the AGM. Shareholders are enjoined to know that the Securities and Exchange Commission's Code of Corporate Governance for public companies, as well as the Federal Reporting Council of Nigeria's National Code of Corporate Governance, requires members of the Statutory Audit Committee to have basic financial literacy and an ability to read and interpret financial statements. Right of shareholders to ask questions. Pursuant to Rule 19 of 12C of the Nigerian Exchange Group's Rule Book 2015, please note that shareholders have a right to ask questions not only at the annual general meeting, but also in writing prior to the AGM. We therefore urge that such questions be submitted to the company secretaries not later than 2 weeks before the date of the meeting. Biographical details of the directors for re-election / approval. The biographical details of the directors submitted for re-elections are contained in the annual report and accounts of the companies under the directors' profile by order of the board, Cautious Services Limited, secretaries, dated May 27, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Company Secretary. I declare the meeting duly convened and validly constituted. To save time, most of the motions on the agenda will be moved by me or at my instance, and therefore I will call on seconders from the floor before the resolution is put to the meeting for vote. The chairman's statement appears on pages 6, 7, and 8 of the 2020 annual report and accounts. If it is your wish, can we take the chairman's statement as read in order to allow time for your questions? Thank you very much. Please be informed that in exercise of the power conferred on me by virtue of Section 2491E of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, I will be calling for a poll on items 1 to 6 of the meeting agenda, except for items 4 and 5. The voting for these resolutions will be taken electronically. The first ordinary business of the meeting is to lay before the meeting the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2020, together with the reports of the directors, the auditors, and the audit committee thereon. The audited financial statement and the reports of the directors have already been circulated to members, and I believe that members have had the opportunity of reviewing them. I therefore suggest that the report of directors and audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2020 be taken as read. I now call on Mr. Simon Awotoye, a representative of HLBZ & Co., the company's auditors, to read the report of the auditors which was circulated to members with their accounts. Mr. Simon.
Mr. Chairman, other board members, distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, reports of the auditors to the members of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc. Report on the financial statements. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the statement of profit or loss, statement of changes in equity, statements of cash flows for the year ended 31st December 2020, a summary of significant accounting policies, and other explanatory information set out on page 21 to 44. Opinion. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the company's financial position as at 31st December 2020, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011, and in the manner required by Companies and Allied Matters Act of Nigeria and other statutory financial regulations. Basis for opinion. Our responsibility is to express an independent opinion on these financial statements issued on our audits. Based on our audits, we conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISAs. Those standards require that we comply with ethical requirements and plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatements. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgments, including the assessment of the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error. In making those risk assessments, the auditor considers internal controls relevant to the entity's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. In order to expressing an opinion on the effectiveness in the entity's internal control, an audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting estimates made by directors, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statements. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, could be of most significance in our audits of the financial statements of the current period. We have the key audit matters and how the matter was addressed during the course of the audit. Impairment of trade receivables. During the year, the company's trade receivables was 380 million naira, which is 71% of current assets and 47% of total assets. The 380 million was tested for impairment, and the sum of 101 million naira was provided as the impairment on that amount. The determination of allowance for impairment involves management judgment and review of individual receivables. Receivables balances. Management considers factors such as the age of the receivables, location of customers, and existence of disputes, recent historical payment patterns, and any other available information concerning the creditworthiness of counterparties. Management uses this information to determine whether an allowance for impairment is required, either for a specific transaction or for a customer's balance overall. Given the size of the trade receivables of the company's current assets, the complexity, judgments, assumptions, and estimates involved in the assessment of the collectability of trade receivables is considered a key audit matters. How the matter was addressed during the audit. We performed audit procedures on the existence of trade receivables, which include but are not limited to tracing sales transactions to supporting documents, sending trade receivable confirmations, and subsequent receipt testing of bank payments. Assessing the impairment of trade receivables requires judgment, and we have challenged the assumptions used to calculate the trade receivables impairments amounts. Notably, through detailed analysis of aging of receivables and assessment of significant overdue individual trade receivables. Also, we discussed with accounts and credit departments personnel on information relating to specific customers with long outstanding debts. Directors' responsibility for the financial statements. The directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards issued by the International Accounting Standard Board as adopted by the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria and the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. This responsibility includes designing, implementing, and maintaining internal controls relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, selecting and applying appropriate accounting policies, and making accounting estimates that are reasonable in the circumstances. Reports on other legal requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that which to the best.
Quite appreciated. Page 9, the chairman did go into under financial performance and say that the courier business thrives on a high transaction volume. And of course, we knew because of the challenges of COVID-19, that probably affected our performance. He also mentioned that same page, the last paragraph, about competition. And my question here is, in terms of the competition, what are we doing to retain our clientele and business and have a fair share of the business? On page 10, I noticed that the chairman also promised that the board and management is going to do as much as possible to ensure a reversal of the performance. That is to improve on our previous performance and be able to reverse the negative result. So, and I just noticed that we are at the end of July, is that I'm asking what direction is a half-year result showing. Same on that page, the chairman did pointed out a lot of options, the way we can do things midway in that paragraph. Maybe the paragraph shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 61. And my question is that out of these options, which are obtainable within the industry, which of them have we taken advantage of? That's page 10.
Page 10.
Yeah. Moving forward, found out that the board and the committees and the audit committee did perform wonderfully well in terms of attendance, and I say kudos to them, and I want them to keep it up. On page 26, the last paragraph and the report of the directors, there's this compliance issue there, which happened in the previous year, which we've been heavily penalized. If you look at page 23 and 26, you see. But my point is that, as an advice, we should guide against this to save resources that are hard-earned. And of course, some of these issues falls within the controllable issues through the compliance and the proactive action. I'll be making reference to the key audit matter on page 29, which had been escalated on page 50 under the trade and other receivable note 15 on page 50. My advice is that the trade receivable is high. It was even higher than the previous one when our turnover was higher. So my advice is that we should work on this and try as much as possible to bring it down. The earlier we do that, the better for us. Otherwise, impairments will eat more into it. On page 45, under segmentation, that's note 3. I hope we have complied with that advice as given by your very self. But what I want to say that, apart from that, and in the area where companies don't print annual report to every shareholder, I would advise that the printed list be given to the notable shareholder groups that has offices and members where we can advise ourselves, and people will be good to go to registrars to go and claim their entitlement. Finally, sir, I look at the number of directors that has performed this wonderful result. They are limited to 6, and the one has retired or resigned midway into the account, leaving 5 able men and women there who are up to the task. But I want us to be mindful of the current Companies and Allied Matters Act, which requires higher number of independent directors. So maybe when next you go, because I couldn't see election of new directors in the agenda, maybe when you go next into your meeting, you consider this along. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Let me see whether I should take the question now. Okay, let's get the question on so that I don't repeat. Okay, please. Sorry.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, the Board of Directors, the regulators here present, and the shareholders, both sitting and those watching online. My own name is Eric Akinduro. I'm the chairman of Ibadan Zone Shareholders Association. Firstly, this morning, Mr. Chairman, I need to congratulate this company, congratulate the board, and even shareholders. Because when you look at the environment that we are operating in, we know that it is not easy for companies to make it in Nigeria. But for us to sit down this morning to have something to discuss about, I think it's the handwork of some people which have taken them so long to bring it down to the table here this morning. So we congratulate you, and we believe that the environment we find ourselves as a company, though we have big players in this environment, in this industry, but I know that we will take a very decisive decision to challenge the environment. And if we can do that, I believe that we have a better story to tell. And not only that, Mr. Chairman, when you look at the present situation, the pandemic, we know that it affected virtually everybody, virtually every sector, particularly the sector that we are in. Not only that, when you look at logistics, transportation, you look at hospitality and some other sectors, we know that they are affected most. But we believe that it's going to be a matter of time and things will work out well for us. Looking at the 5-year financial summary on page 56, I realized that we need to do more. We need to do more because when you look at our revenue, although we have given reasons why we have the least revenue for the past 5 years, this year under review, and where we have our earnings per share in the negative of 12.8, and our retained earnings also, we recorded the least for the past 5 years. And I believe that this is the best time for us to look at all the indices that we mentioned here and see how we can redefine and recalibrate our vision and our goal, which is quite different from when we started. The environment we find ourselves, we need to always review constantly to see how we can fix into the environment, because it's very dynamic and we need to move along with the environment. So I will implore us to always look around to see how we can work things out in a better way for our company. Not only that, Mr. Chairman, looking at page 45, our revenue vis-a-vis the direct cost of operation, I can see that we did very well. We have strength in some area, and I believe these areas, when we work on it very well, we can beat the competitors. Because when you look at our freight income, we have 157.5 million as against the cost of 57 million. And our mass mailing, we have 39 million as against the cost of 9 million. Our mail bag, we have 13 million as against the cost of 2 million. And it's not that we are too smart, but it's because of the discipline that we have inculcated to this business. That's why we have all these lesser costs as against our revenue. So I want us to consider this our strength and see how we can capitalize on this strength against our competitors so that we know that we are there. And also on our warehousing, we need to do more on our warehousing, particularly when you look at the influx of foreign industries, particularly in Lagos, Ibadan Express. So we need to do more. Some of them, they are not ready to build a very big warehouse or something, but they can look for the one they can lease or let for a certain period so that we can also capitalize on that and get good business on that. And also I need to commend the company because going through the annual report, I know that we are not working for the banks. I can't see where we have our finance cost or overdraft. So this is a very good initiative for the company. When you are working with the little you have, it's better than working with the bigger you collected from the bank and giving them the returns at the end of the year. So I need to commend the company for not working for the banks. And the issue of impairment had been mentioned. So we need to look into this because our risk appetite about this business is very key. I was in a particular place sometimes ago, just AGM of bank, like AGM of bank, and the MD of that bank was saying that we have some people in this country, that the main reason why they are getting loan is to dupe you. They don't have any other reason, and they will cook up all books and everything to make sure that they are not paying that loan. So we need to look deeply into this, our risk appetite when it comes to impairment or receivables, so that we can have a lesser impairment on the business. And the issue of AMCON, recently AMCON said something about getting debtors, even apart from their collateral, into the other companies where they have account or businesses. So we can use this as well to get some of this impairment paid back onto us. And finally, my little advice, Mr. Chairman, our capital base, we need to work on it. This is our company is one of the smallest companies on the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange. So we need to work on our capital base to see how, if to engage some other investors so that we can have a bigger capital base to work with. And also, we are not too feasible when it comes to marketing. Our marketing strategies, we are so much conversant when it comes to marketing. So we need to have aggressive publicity so that we can show ourselves, we can make to some of these companies, because we need them when it comes to our service. So let us be more feasible in terms of marketing. And also, I read something about e-commerce. So I want you to give us more insight into our e-commerce, so that as the world is going, we need to move with the world. So that e-commerce is very key. So you can give us more insight on this, so that we shareholders will know more about what we are doing. And also some of the branches, it will be better for us for this annual report to publish some of our branches, as I'm from Ibadan. I don't know much about some of our branches in Ibadan. So if we have it in the annual report, it will be better for us when we get to our association. So we can always tell them that we have.
My name is Haulage Olisaka.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. If you go to page 4 of the report, where you have the corporate information, the solicitors are not listed there. And why I particularly picked these solicitors is because of the contingent liabilities, and about 35 million, which they have promised that there's no problem, and that's what lawyers will always tell you. But eventually, if anything comes out, then the companies bear the brunt. So I am thinking that we should be able to settle this out of court, instead of relying solely on the solicitors. The address is not there; they are not mentioned there. Also, on page 6 and 36, there's a mention of 36 offices, and on page 13 you have 38 offices. So I don't know which one is correct, whether it's 36 offices that you have or whether it's 38 branches that you have. So we need to get that clear. The issue of penalty, it has been discussed, but I don't know why it has to take that long before they now ask us to pay these fines. And then who was actually responsible for not filing these reports on time? The person should be held responsible. I mean, shareholders cannot bear the brunt of somebody who failed to send the reports on time. On page 54, you have the wages and salaries, and the category, the segmentation, I think it's not good enough. It says above 950,000. I mean, for our so many officers, there should be more. What's the highest paid director? It's the amount, the salary should be there. We want to know, you should still break it further, not just above 950,000, so number. Is there anybody receiving up to 5 million? Is there anybody receiving up to 2 million? We need to get some information more about that. Of course, dividend warrant, it has been discussed. The wages increased despite the fact that we are not getting any, on that page 55, wages increased despite the fact that we are not getting any dividend. So please, management, you need to, the board and directors, they need to work very hard. Of course, the chairman also said in his statement that they lack some infrastructure. Of course, this is a capital-intensive business, and during this pandemic, a a lot of organizations made profit, particularly people in the transport industry, because they were carrying food, either from eateries or from anywhere, and then the spare parts people were also carrying parts up and down. So if you go around, that's why people are not going around. You see Okadas, bikes, motorbikes, the courier bikes and some other, carrying different type of food items from markets, from shops, from spare parts and so on. So I think we need to, like you rightly said, that you are going to work more on that, because even with e-commerce, this with all this infrastructure, because if you just say e-commerce, you get the orders, how do you dispose of the orders? You need to move, you need to have materials in all the stations, not just in Lagos alone, because people concentrate more on Lagos and leave other areas.
Prince Anthony, thank you. On the where is the company moving to, especially that you raised, we know that the future of this company is on customer service, creating customer experience vis-a-vis the speed at which you deliver and the security of the item that you deliver, as well as technology. The future of the business is on technology. So, we are very big on that and are getting big on that. And that's why we are putting much of the effort on towards ensuring that these are actually in place. He mentioned, Mr. Kolawole mentioned the e-commerce. Mr. Eric mentioned e-commerce. And that is just the trend. This has started and it is going to continue no matter what we say. And so we are positioning the company towards ensuring that we tap the opportunity significantly for the benefit of shareholders along this line. With respect of the half-year performance, I must say that the company, for the half-year result, the company has performed well. There's just the issue of the receivables, the provisions, that is only the drag, and the company has strategically, made effort along this line towards ensuring these receivables they are actually recovered. We have provisioning for last year by 101 million, and for us, how do we recover this provisioning? It's not the members of the board has been deliberating significantly on this particular area. If you have the trade receivable that's recovered, and you have more liquidity in the firm towards driving more businesses, towards investing in capital expenditure that will drive the company to the next level. So we have been strategizing with the management along this line to ensure that we capture this very well. So that addressed the issue of trade receivable. Trade receivable is large. From what the auditor read, it's almost about 71%, and this is not actually acceptable from our standard as the board. We've tabled that. I must say that last year, the board and the management, in a very rare situation, we had a strategic retreat for almost about 2 days. And the objective is, things have to change. We have to move the company forward. Shareholders need to get value, especially in an environment where there's so much opportunity. So we factor this in, and we believe that we're able to deliver to the shareholders. On page 45, I think I missed that. There was a question raised on page 25, briefly. Okay, that's a commendation. Thank you very much for the commendation on the cost reductions. We appreciate that. The creditors issue is good. Sometimes you say it's good for us to keep creditors increasing so that we just minimize the debtors, from the business perspective. But we also need to ensure that we don't suffer the creditors so that we can have good partners to deal with as an organization, given who we are. There was a question on the directors. The number of directors that was raised in the organization. This is very, very important. We have noticed that there are so much heavy weight on the present members. I must, at this point, really appreciate the effort of all the board members. They have, please, a round of applause for them. They have really worked tirelessly, and again, I'm also fortunate to have them because of commitment and passion with which they're doing what they're doing. So we are working on getting more directors, independent directors, and also, directors who have value. So this process has started, and we believe that we'll be able to communicate, the progress to you before during the next AGM. I will also want to note one of the shareholders raised a question of gender imbalance, that we only have 20% of the women on the yes, only one. Okay, that's 20% anyway. So 20%. So we need to bring more because we have more women doing great things and contributing value. In fact, for me, really, I prefer more women to men. Yeah, because. Okay, sorry. On the quickly, I would want to, Mr. Eric, you raised fundamental questions on the business aspect of this discussion, which are very fundamental. I really appreciate it. And the warehousing thing is very, very key. And again, the redefining the business. Where are we going? Things have to change, as I said earlier. The vision, the mission, things have been redefined to capture the mood of the situation. What's happened in the last 5 years cannot be the same thing as today and again for the next 5 years. How do we want to capture value for the company? There's issue of capital base, which I think linked together from, we need more capital, and that's why we have not actually raised, the finance cost is not as high as what, it's not even existing in the book. For some, it is good, for some, it is not good, because you need finance to to participate in all these capital projects, the IT and others. But how do we, the board is deliberating on what will be the optimal way towards embarking on this that will add value to the shareholders, and that is, those things will come into consideration, and we believe that we'll be able to do well in area of capital raising. We have not decided on anything, but we are looking at several options towards empowering the company to move to the next level. Marketing strategy, these are the things that we have been discussing at the board level, and we believe that you will soon begin to see the effect of all this, because both the board and management, they have been working tirelessly towards ensuring values are delivered. Mr. Kolawole, I appreciate your comment on the penalties. Yes, I think that is very important. The MD is listening. For those that cause penalty, they must be penalized, kind of. And that's the message, that if there's no room for, there's no reason why there should be penalty. So it's one of the areas that is looking at towards minimizing, because this was also raised at the board meeting. So in general, I think that is the summary of what I can capture. I must say that I appreciate this question. And again, yeah, we meet once in a year during the AGM. But I think that, I don't know, we need to, if there are insights that the shareholders can be sending across to the company, we really appreciate it. It's not only at the AGM that we need to meet and get these beautiful ideas from you, which we can be having communications from the shareholders on what are the ideas and other things, because the market is fragmented, the entry barrier is very low, and you have more competitors coming on board. And so for us, is how do we position ourselves to ensure that we still maintain a lead in the market? And this will work tirelessly towards delivering. Thank you very much. We received questions from Barrister Ganiat, Senior Bola, and those questions, they actually capture most of the things that have been asked today, and we have responded to her. We appreciate her too for our questioning. Thank you very much. Okay. Having dealt with all matters raised in the 2020 audited financial statement, I hereby move that the audited financial statement for the financial year ended 31st December 2020, as prepared by the auditors, be and is hereby accepted. Can someone please second the motion? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Olubusu Ario is named. I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ario. I hereby call on the registrar to explain the operation of the electronic voting device handed to each shareholder and the time frame for the voting process for each section.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, distinguished shareholders. We're about to commence the voting session for this meeting. Voting devices have been distributed to shareholders of the company. As we commence the voting session, any button on the voting device powers on the voting device. Now, for those voting in favor of any resolution, you press the number 1 button on the voting device, and thereafter press the OK button to submit your vote. If you are voting against any resolution, you press the number 2 button, and thereafter press the OK button to submit your vote. If you're abstaining from a resolution, you press the number 3 button, and thereafter press the OK button to submit your vote. Each voting session will be by poll, and it will last for approximately 20 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay. I now put the resolution to the meeting and request that we vote now. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the resolution to receive the reports and accounts of the company, voting starts now. The voting session has ended. Mr. Chairman, may I have a permission to display the results? On the resolution to receive the reports and accounts of the company, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy, amounting to 288,862,588 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the result of the vote announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. The second item on the agenda is to re-elect directors. Since I'm presenting myself for re-election as a director at this meeting, may I invite Mr. Theodore Chikelu, the managing director, to take us through this item of business on the agenda as acting chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Those are very big shoes to step into. Well, my warm regard and respect to the board of directors, and of course to our distinguished shareholders, and those who are watching these proceedings by remote. The following directors are retiring in accordance with Article 81 of the Company's Articles of Association and Section 273, subsection 1 of CAMA 2020, and being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. The first person is our distinguished chairman, Mr. Suleiman Adedokun. The second director is Mr. Adibayo Adeleke.
in accordance with Article 81 of the Company Articles of Association and Section 285, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, being eligible offers themselves for re-election. Sorry about that. Now, can someone move that Mr. Suleiman Adedokun be and is hereby re-elected as director of the company?
You move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can someone please rise and second this motion? I was expecting to hear something.
I rise to second the motion. My name is Mazi Samuel Mpamugo.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting and request that we vote now. I therefore request the registrars to conduct the vote and provide us with the results of the vote.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Suleiman Adedokun as director, voting starts now. The voting session is over. Mr. Chairman, may I have permission to display the results? On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Suleiman Adedokun as director, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 266,877,058 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Following the results of the vote announced by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. Can someone move that Mr. Adebayo Adeleke be and is hereby re-elected as a director of the company? Okay, I move.
Yeah, my name is Saeed Bashir. I hereby second the motion.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting and request that we vote now. I therefore request the registrars to conduct the vote and provide us with the results of the vote.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Adebayo Adeleke as director, voting starts now. The voting session is over. I have a permission to display the result, Mr. Chair. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Adebayo Adeleke as director, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy, amounting to 266,877,058 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the results of the votes announced by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. Thank you all. I now hand over to the chairman to resume and take over the proceedings of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Acting Chairman. And thank you all for electing me back because, I'm sure I can't continue as chairman if I'm not. Okay, thank you very much. The third item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Under Section 408, subsection 1B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, The Act requires that the auditor's remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting, or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move the following resolution: that Mrs. HLBZO and Co. Chartered Accountants be and are hereby reappointed auditors of the company, and that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix their remuneration. Can someone please rise and second this motion? Please. Sorry. Sorry.
My own name is Eric Akinduro. I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much. I now put the resolution to the meeting and request that we vote now. I therefore request the registrar to conduct the vote and provide us with the result of the vote.
On the resolution to authorize directors to fix remuneration of the auditors, voting starts now. The voting session has ended. May I have a permission to display the roll, Mr. Chairman? On the resolution to authorize directors to fix remuneration of the auditors, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy amounting to 266,877,058 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the result of the vote announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. The fourth item on the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. Section 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires the company at each general meeting to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. I hereby draw the attention of shareholders to page 25 of the company's 2020 annual report and accounts, where a detailed report on the remuneration of managers of the company is contained for their information. The fifth item on the agenda is to elect members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Section 404, subsection 3 and 4 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 provides that the Audit Committee shall consist of 5 members comprising of 3 members and 2 directors, and with the assistance of the auditors, to provide us with 3 persons with the highest votes as representative of the shareholders on the audit committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As earlier stated by the Company Secretary, we have 5 nominees for the audit committee role. As I call each nominee, may you kindly stand up or step out for recognition, please. Osa Dinuzuchuks Nwosa. May you step out, please, sir. Olusegun Oguntoye. Could you kindly step out, sir? Oluwaseun Olukoya. Omojola Anthony Omoni. Saka Kolawole Adams. Mr. Omolaja Anthony Omoni has just indicated his interest. Omojola Anthony Omoni has just indicated his interest to step down. So it won't be part of it. Okay, so the vote will be by show of hands. Mr. Osanidizu Chuks Nwosa, those in favor, please. Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye, those in favor, please. Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya, those in favor, please. Mr. Saka Kolawole Adams, those in favor, please.
Please.
Sorry, I observe from the list of the forces that we have here, and looking at the shareholders present here, I believe there are more than the list of the forces that we have here. And the legal thing is that those ones that were listed and registered CSC should be the one to participate in the meeting. Others may come in as an observer. So I don't know why we have other people coming in that are not listed as forces for the AGM. Probably the company secretary can put show more light on that.
But, are also included with our own shareholders as well. We have a limit of 50 people. Yes, the people that you are. No problem. Now.
I think we have people representing the proxies and the shareholders. And again, I think maybe we are no more than 50. We are not 50. I think it's just within the framework of no more than 50, and people attending are either proxies or shareholders. That is the basis. I understand your point, but that's the framework within which we are. Thank you very much for raising that. Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. After the conduct of the vote and the names of the 3 persons with the highest number of votes, and I hereby declare that the following shareholders have been elected, duly elected as the representative of the shareholders on the Statutory Audit Committee. Maybe I should just announce the results we have first. The results we have Mr. Osadinuzu Chuks Nwosa, 9 votes. We have Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye, 17 votes. We have Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya, 16 votes. Prince Dr. Omojola has stepped down. We have Mr. Saka Kolawole Adams, 5 votes. I therefore So we have, for the 3 people that have been nominated to the audit committee, they are Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye, Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya, and Mr. Ozadinizu Chuks Unwoza. I therefore declare that the following shareholders have been duly elected as the representative of the shareholders on the statutory audit committee of Trans-Nationwide Express Plc. 1, Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye. 2, Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya. 3, Mr. Ozadinizu Chuks Unwoza. In addition, please be seated, please. Congratulations. Congratulations. We expect more from you at the board level. Thank you. Yes, sir. In addition, the board of directors of the company has received of its directors to represent the board on the statutory audit committee of the company. The 2 directors elected by the board to represent the board on the statutory audit committee are 1, Mr. Kayode Ajakai. 2, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. I hereby move that the following 3 shareholders representative, namely Mr. Olusegun Oguntoye, Mr. Oluwaseun Olukoya, Mr. Ozadinizu Chuks, as well as the following directors representative of the board, Mr. Kayode Ajakai and Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, be and are hereby elected as members of the statutory audit committee of the company. Can someone please rise and second the motion? Prince.
I, Prince Dr. Anthony Omojola, I do second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Will all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising their right hands? Will all those against the motion please signify by raising their right hands? I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. Thank you very much. Special businesses. The 6th item on the agenda is special business, to fix the remuneration of the directors. Can someone move the following resolution? That a total remuneration of 12,384,000 on page, as we have on page 53, note 24.1 of the 2020 annual report of an account, be and is hereby approved for all the non-executive directors. We appreciate. Thank you very much. Mr. Eric.
Although looking at this money, I believe that it's not too big for our directors. And I believe as the company move on, we can consider an increase in their remuneration. So I so move. I second that motion.
You move that motion?
Okay, I move that motion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I so second. My name is A.K. Chibuzo, a shareholder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chibuzo. I now put the resolution to the meeting and request that we vote now. I therefore request the registrar to conduct the vote and provide us with the result of the vote.
On the resolution to fix remuneration of directors, voting starts now. The voting session has ended. May I have a permission to display the result, Mr. Chairman?
Please go ahead.
On the resolution to fix remuneration of directors, we have 100% vote in person, by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 266,877,058 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond. Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution has been carried. Thank you all. Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal business of this annual general meeting. I thank you on behalf of the board for attending this meeting and showing so much interest in the company's affairs. As you depart, I enjoin you all to stay safe and continue to observe all the COVID-19 protocols to help in curbing the spread in our society and the world at large. May God protect all of us. Can we all rise for recitation of the national anthem?
Business. In His mighty name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Said.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Presentation. Staff.